as well as terminals operations are under my oversight.
We haven't understood you.
Yeah, he has actually said nothing.
I've even written them down. So let's go slowly. Before we go to, because the question was so simple.
Maybe I've said
what is downstream trading?
Okay,
then
so,
you went into. No, hold on. I'm going to take it one by one. Okay. Then you said you're a general manager. Pipeline what?
Acting general manager of the National Pipeline Company.
Okay, but we don't have a pipeline. But you are the acting general manager of a pipeline.
Subsidiary of Uganda.
Hold on, do we have a pipeline?
We are developing a pipeline.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, of a pipeline that we are developing, you are the
manager of an existing.
This is what I was thinking. Then you are also in charge of Moses. You are supposed to be on his side. So be nice.
Moses has people outside that he wants to understand.
Yeah. Now let's go to a terminal. Do we have a terminal?
It is being built. Oh, it will actually.
So the government
is not being built.
The government of Uganda owns the Jinja storage terminal, which is a 30 million capacity terminal.
Right.
Of which it handles 20.
That's the storage facility
in Jinja.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, what I want to, maybe you haven't introduced me. First introducing me.
No, I haven't introduced you yet.
Introduced yourself.
But Mr. Otika, so the terminal now belongs to government or now belongs to UNOC?
But Uganda National Oil Company is wholly owned by the government of Uganda.
So the terminal now is owned by UNOC?
The terminal is owned by the government of Uganda and operated currently by UNOC.
By UNOC, okay. Yeah. Now those two you have finished. Now the next one is head of downstream trading and operations.
He hasn't finished.
No. We just needed the description.
The reason I'm saying he hasn't finished, he's not using everyday language. Because what he calls the terminal is just a storage facility.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So let him use the everyday English for everybody to understand.
That's okay. Now we go to
from
downstream trading and operations. What is downstream trading?
Thank you, Oscar and Honorable. So, in terms of storage of petroleum products, when you have a storage facility that is inland without connection to either a lake or other logistical facilities, it's called a depot. When you have a storage facility that has a potential access to either a lake or a sea, it's called a terminal. So that's why the Jinja
is referred to as a terminal. Okay. Do you have a depot as well?
Currently, no.
Currently, no.
Yeah.
But you plan to have one?
We intend to develop another terminal at the in PG. In Namwambula. It will be a 320 million liter facility connected with around 200 kilometer pipeline to the proposed or planned Uganda refinery.
Okay.
So that's what we intend to develop.
In what year?
It's called the Kampala Storage Terminal, and we expect the feasibility study for that facility to be done within the first half of next year. And the reason I'm saying this is because we have contractualized it in the supply arrangement that we have today.
Okay.
Yes. So
what do you call the one in Garuga, the one that belongs to, what is the company? Is that a terminal as well?
Yes, it is a terminal.
It is a terminal. Okay. So, and then over to downstream trading and operations? So,
downstream trading involves sourcing of petroleum products from supply sources overseas, arranging for the logistics and transportation into Uganda and selling to oil marketing companies. So, it's an end-to-end. Operation involving sourcing of the product, arranging for its logistical handling up to the point of sale to the oil marketing companies. That's downstream trading. Downstream operations involve interfacing with the logistical service providers or your own logistical infrastructure to service then the distribution of the product to the oil marketing companies, but in bulk. Yeah.
So nice. So welcome to Gang, Mr. Moses Byarwanga, Senior Presidential Advisor. You have a question on what the gentleman does? Because I still have very many questions for him.
You see, these people in the oil sector, they talk of upstream, downstream,
midstream.
Now, for the thing everybody knows, they are streams. So, in simple terms, are you saying downstream? Because now, if you're talking about now importation, that's downstream. But when you're talking about the oil, like now,
I think UNOC is mostly downstream.
So, what's upstream? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What they call it, like the activities in the oil sector now.
You know,
which one is upstream, which one is downstream?
Okay. Thank
I
you.
don't want him to go there too much. I want him to focus on his work.
No, these streams.
You want to finish the streams first.
Streams.
Maybe I can give it a minute.
Okay, give it a minute.
So, UNOC operates in the whole petroleum value chain, end to end. So upstream, in a layman's language, is where the oil is explored and
Exploration.
So exploration is upstream.
Yes, explored, and you can say
Trading it to Semujju to put in his car is downstream.
exploring it and producing it, then taking it to the
tank.
to the refinery. Now refinery and the pipeline, those are midstream. You are now into logistics and production. Downstream is where now you are interfacing with the market.
Okay.
Downstream, from what we see, what we visibly see, the retail station.
What is up is up.
Exactly. Yeah.
As Semujju says, those are terms too. But generally speaking, UNOC deals with the actual mafta, with the fuel when you have got it. There. Do you remember in those days, everyone would say, where at that Shell, they meant a petrol station, but they'd call it at the Shell. Now we'll say at that UNOC. So, UNOC, you've been given Uganda's fuel. Over last two shows, we have discussed why and so on, and it looks very, very good on paper. But we know in Uganda how we can make things go wrong. So when is your operation starting?
Thank you, Oscar. When you say UNOC has been given Ugandan oil, let me just go back a bit. So on 14th of November, Parliament of Uganda passed a bill, which is the Petroleum Supply Amendment Bill 2023. And that bill is intended to empower UNOC to be the sole importer of petroleum products destined to Uganda. And this word importer, if you allow me to, let me just add a sentence or two. Before the single customs territory launched by URA in 2013, importation of petroleum products was seen at the border crossing. With the single customs territory now, importation means landing the product in Mombasa or Dar es Salaam, and that's why it is at that point that the duty is paid. The moment you land petroleum products in Mombasa destined for Uganda, you pay duty. So what UNOC is going to be doing is to bring the product up to Mombasa or Dar es Salaam destined for the Ugandan market, and that product will be belonging to the oil marketing companies in Uganda. So once the product lands in Mombasa, Total, Vivo, Starbucks, name them, City Oil, will have allocated share of whatever vessel comes in there, and then they will arrange to transport that product into Uganda, and which means they will pay the excess duty. Once the product has landed in Mombasa, it's coming into Uganda, and then they will import the product into Uganda. So importation, I thought I should clarify that, because there's a misconception that UNOC is going to bring the product all the way to Uganda. Our responsibility stops at the importation structures within Kenya and Tanzania, and then the oil marketing companies continue to import the same way they've been doing from the respective countries into Uganda. So
clarification. The system has been, when the oil reaches Mombasa, the traders in Kampala pick it from Eldoret, but we're now talking of it comes in a pipeline up to Eldoret. That's where they pick it from.
Yes.
But they're now saying they are going to pick it themselves from Mombasa. So is the pipeline getting out?
So Eldoret is the exit. So the product is allocated to you from Mombasa, but you pick it from Eldoret. And thank you very much for that clarification. So the oil marketing companies will continue picking most of their product from Eldoret and Kisumu. Although sometimes, if there are challenges, they go and load from either Nairobi or all the way to Mombasa. What has been happening is that today, as we speak, Uganda oil marketing companies allocate their requirements to a Kenyan affiliate or a nominated entity. That Kenyan affiliate then consolidates with its own requirement within Kenya. We're using Kenya just for purpose of explanation. Consolidates and puts in a pool where it is now tendered out. Once that product is tendered out in lots of vessels, each vessel that is delivered in Mombasa is then shared out to those Kenyan oil marketing companies in a ratio of 60 to 40. 60 meaning is what you consume within Kenya, and 40 is for transit to Uganda. Now, it is that 40 that then the Ugandan oil marketing company picks from the Kenyan oil marketing company. But just like it happens with all systems, businessmen find positioning. So you find that sometimes that 40 is bought by another Kenyan oil marketing, a portion of that 40 is bought by another Kenyan oil marketing companies, and because the product was bought based on the demand has remained in Uganda, it's needed. So the Ugandan oil marketing company ends up buying from a third Kenyan oil marketing company. So you have mainly two, but now you've introduced a third layer. And what this bill and law, once the president assents to it, is trying to do is that, we are positioning ourselves to interface with the trading entity that brings the product from the refineries, so that we then eliminate the Kenyan oil marketing companies who, by the way, everyone who handles this product puts a margin for themselves because they have to recover their costs and they have to make a profit. So we believe that by eliminating those two and sometimes three intermediaries, that saving, we want to bring it home. We want to bring it home in form of revenue for UNOC, in form of a saving on the cost, which we believe will then be transferred to the pump for Ugandans to enjoy the difference.
Excuse me, Rashid, just to, you've caused a lot of confusion in the few words you've given so far. So we had, there's a parliamentary resolution, or a parliamentary bill to give UNOC power to be the fuel transporter, so to speak. A fuel supplier. I think it's the word supplier to the oil marketing companies. Good. Yes. Supplier. At the same time, UNOC should be working with a manager, so to speak, called Vitol.
Okay. Vitol is the supplier.
Vitol is the supplier.
Yes.
So Vitol is going to supply to UNOC.
Yes.
To take out all the other people you are talking about.
Yeah. So let me allow me to just give the structure today. So you have a refinery that refines the product, and by nature, refineries want continuity of production. So for you to buy fuel from the refinery, you must commit an annual demand and also stake in some kind of guarantee, an annual demand. Now, Uganda consumes around 2.5 billion liters a year. So which means if you are to go to the refinery, that is your order. You're ordering that next year, and normally it's done by November. Next year I'm going to take 2.5 billion liters from you. Now for the next year. For next year. So the refiner will want you to guarantee
the 1 year.
So that you don't jump out of that commitment. Okay? Which means not everyone can do that. 2.5 billion liters. And by the way, if you look at the costing of the product, it's close to $2.2 billion. Yeah, so for you to commit that ahead of time, before you even start picking it, you must be solid financially. That's why...
And Uganda is not.
No, we're talking about UNOC.
No, I'm not.
That's why... so that's why...
You already said UNOC is Uganda. Yes. Now don't jump out of it.
Now we're into business. So that's why if anyone comes and tells you I can go to a refinery, then they don't understand this business. Now, it's those traders, it's those traders that now interface with the refinery that find the markets where, even before they commit, they first find the markets where they're going to. So for today, let's talk about Kenya. So Kenya, you have 3 companies: Saudi Aramco Trading, ADNOC for Abu Dhabi Trading, and ENOC Trading. They are the ones that commit to their refineries that we are going to take
so much fuel.
8 cargoes of fuel. Each cargo is around 100 million liters to the East African market. Now, those 3 companies, what the Kenyan government has done, it has allocated 3 Kenyan importing companies. But for purposes of not confuse, let's say Kenyan suppliers now. Now, those 3 companies are the ones that now buy from the Saudi Aramcos. Yeah? We have
so why are they saying government to government if it is Kenyan 3 suppliers?
No, it's because
Kenya was sloganeering.
Okay, I think let's go. I think let's go with the facts.
Yes.
If you allow me to.
Yes.
So the government was involved in these engagements. Yeah, where they replaced the earlier system, which was an open tender system done monthly. Yeah. So these 3 companies, which is Galana, Gulf, and Oryx, then bring the product into Mombasa. Now, when that product comes into Mombasa, they sell it to the Kenyan oil marketing companies in the ratios I talked about. Yeah, in the ratios I talked about. Now, what UNOC is doing after a successful trial of the business since 2020 and analyzing the challenges that oil marketing companies were facing, we have positioned ourselves to now replace the Galana, Gulf, and Oryx, so that we are the importers into Mombasa, right? So which means, because we cannot put $2.1 billion to the refiner, we need someone who can support us. And if you look at our mission, our growth, I'll come to that. Our growth is...
I only have your microphone on, so...
Yes, our growth... Yeah, strategically, we intend to grow with strategic partners who can enhance our capabilities. Now, what Vitol will do, since you've mentioned Vitol and it's our partner, Vitol will then will then sell the product to UNOC. Yeah, UNOC lands the product in Mombasa. UNOC sells to Vivo, Total, name them. Yeah, all the oil marketing companies in Uganda. What we'll have then done, like I mentioned, we're now dealing directly with the oil marketing companies in Uganda. So it's because of the economies of scale and the financial muscle you must have that UNOC today
is using Vitol
to interface.
So do you have a timeline when you'll go direct to not using Vitol? When you are going to wait for Uganda production and then stop using Vitol.
So when the initial government policy change directive came in March, our target was to start in June of this year. So we went and interfaced with the Kenyan government in April, and the feedback that Kenya gave was, we've just entered a new agreement and we've signed up. It's 9 months. If you pull out your volumes, it's going to cause us some challenges. So because of the good bilateral relationship between Uganda and Kenya, the government of Uganda accepted and said, okay, let's allow you up to December, when the 9 months end, so that we will start our importation in January. So our target was to start importation of the petroleum products as UNOC from January. But Kenya has put up a structure where you have to comply, and it's out of the risk they've analyzed. So for you to import as a Ugandan oil marketing company product through Kenya, you must first register in Kenya. After registering in Kenya, you must get a license to import a petroleum product. After getting the license, then you must sign a transportation and storage agreement with the pipeline company. Now, because of these three critical issues, it has taken us time. It has taken us time, and we're not able to achieve the timelines, because for you to import in January, you must commit your demand by 20th of October. So we missed that timeline. So 20th of November, we've missed that timeline. Our expectation is, and we're targeting to make sure by 15th of December, we have resolved the challenge we're facing in Kenya, so that we're able to confirm our first order with Vitol for delivery from February. So in terms of timelines, we expect to start the imports from February of next year.
But in terms of timelines, you're kind of out of it, because as you informed us, the orders must be made by October of the previous year. So that's Vitol's business.
No, for us to be able to import from January, from February, we need to confirm our demand with Vitol by 15th of December.
That's in 2 weeks' time.
15th of December.
Is about 2-3 weeks away.
Yeah, we trust that we have had the right stakeholder engagements and preparations, and we are within
time. So within
time.
And just on the Kenya thing, Mr. Otika, hold on the Kenya thing. These people that you've put out, the ones that you would give us a 40% or 20% or whatever, have gone to court.
Yeah.
Does that have any effect on your work?
Of course it does, because I mean, we were told.
What do you mean? Of course it does. Moses has been telling me all along that as a landlocked country, we have right of way.
Yes, the reason why it does.
International law. Yes, under international law.
The reason why.
Go on.
The reason why it does is because, and for information, we had a delegation of government officials from Kenya who visited us the day before yesterday. And also yesterday we had the Kenya Pipeline Company. We had discussions. So they explained to us that the way the constitution works in Kenya, anyone, even if not involved in the business, can take you to court. And normally with court cases, you have to appear and defend your position. Otherwise, a ruling can come against you. But we've been given assurance by the Kenyan government, and they've been high level discussions.
Let him finish what he's saying.
High level discussions.
Let him just finish his
high level discussions between the two presidents. They've discussed, and we've been given assurance that the court case will be managed.
Yeah.
The hearing is on 6th, and the expectation is either to pull it out of court or to defend a position, because you see, we're a sovereign state. We're entitled to access the sea. We're entitled to utilize the pipeline. But of course, you have to go. You have to go and defend yourself.
Okay.
in court.
And just finally, before Honorable Semujju comes on with the question, then what about that trading license on two ways? How, if it's international, we have right of way. Then why are we required to license? And why are we required to pay for transportation?
So of course, we've had a lot of discussion around that, and we were guided by the Office of the Attorney General
of Uganda.
Yes, of Uganda, because in his wisdom, of course, we're not supposed to get license. We're not supposed to register in Kenya. But you see, issues of law and constitution, when you go to court, you waste time. So we're advised, comply for now so that you can start. We'll come back to this case tomorrow. But what we've also done, for information, is that we're also exploring how we can enhance the Tanzanian route, so that at least we are not reliant 100% on the Kenyan route. What happens today is that around 90% of imports of our demand, which is 210 million liters a month, come through Kenya. 10% come through Tanzania. Of course, Tanzanian route, because it's a bit longer, it has some challenges, but those are the things we're analyzing now so that there can be some government-to-government engagement to see how can we reduce that logistical difference to make the product still competitive once it lands into Kampala or Uganda.
Okay. Honorable Semujju, you have questions, comments, please make them now.
Let me start with the small matter. Uganda has a Uganda House in Nairobi. We were sending money to the embassy to renovate it because it had been condemned by the council in Nairobi. Tenants went to court, said, no, you can't demolish. We are still here. It has taken us more than, I think now, 15 years to sort out tenants in Kenya for the construction to start. We were sending money to the embassy every year because it was supposed to be a multi-year, but it couldn't start. I went there with the committee on public accounts, and you are told, no, in Kenya, tenants have a right that you must guarantee.
Even in Uganda.
Even after. No, the rights are not the same. I have seen here people demolish their houses and tenants are given notice to leave. In Kenya, it's not as simple as that. So we went for 15 years. We are unable.
So how are you linking it to this discussion today?
I am talking about the people who have gone to court in Kenya. They are trying to sort it out government to government, but Kenya has told them, you know, here people have a right, whether they are involved or not, they can go to court. And that's why the explanation they are offering to Parliament, they also had they said if it doesn't start, then we will do this as it starts. So the point I want to make is that at this point, they are not sure that that deadline will be met and they will be the one to take over, because that importation has been taking place. What UNOCO is seeking to do is just to take over what the others have been doing, and I wish them well. I'm not sure they will succeed by the date they have set themselves. But for me, the point which Namfuka we are sharing with Namfuka here, the consumer of the petroleum product is more interested in the prices than in who is involved. Even if you have 20 million people who are involved and the price is
of petrol comes down to 3,500,
it does not concern me. That's what I asked government people the other time when they were here, that I want you to begin your conversation that today we buy petrol at 5,600. Come January, it will reduce by 500.
If only.
I am just imagining. Even if it is 500, even if it's 200, 200 is times to an individual it may not be too much, but multiplied by the billions, 2.5, you said, we use every year, it will be some money. So for me, that's the conversation I wanted to hear, and I still want to hear from government that there is now a guarantee. Start January, you guys celebrate, you will now enjoy 500 less when you go to fuel your vehicle. That guarantee is not coming out from any one of them, but they have a narration of so their interest,
how much money they will save and so on.
So their interest therefore becomes an interest of just taking what the others have been taking, not of helping the public on whose behalf they are transacting this business. And that's why at the beginning they were saying we are moving from T to T, now G to G. From trader to trader, now government to government.
Now it is from V to U.
Now it is
Vitol to UNOC.
And all the Ugandan conversations are like that. Oscar, you don't know how much advertising this government done around Chogam. Told people, you grow cabbage, you grow everything. The visitors are coming here. So these visitors in Uganda, it is a one-off in a lifetime. And then people started growing cabbage and dodo. There were no people to eat them. So I am suspicious. On the paper, it sounds a very good deal that you're going to eliminate 2 layers in our petroleum supply, and that elimination comes with a saving. Really, you will be mad to say it is bad. Okay. But there are no guarantee for me to begin the early celebration. So can this guy set Yes, can he set the RA celebration?
They hold on. Nafi, I haven't introduced you yet, so you cannot speak. So even Ivan, I've not introduced you, so you cannot speak. So over to you, Moses. Semujju, you know, when Semujju presents in that manner, there are things he has forgotten. You know, needs the bigger reassurance more than even the cost that the fuel will be here. Because if I get it wrong, there will be a problem. Remember that the Kenya riots and what happened? That really is a bigger issue, and it is bigger than, you know, it comes to your desk in State House, Moses Beranga. Because if on the 20th of January we have no fuel, it is really a security issue.
He said February, not January.
Oh, sorry. If on the 1st of March there's no fuel, then there's going to be a security issue.
Well, thank you, Oscar and colleagues in the studio. First of all, I want to start by saying that the bill, as amended by Parliament, has been assented to. The President signed it on Thursday. Yeah, so that's done.
So, Mr. Rashid Otika, you know, there are some things we know more than you do. So now you know it is signed.
Yes. So the bill has been assented to.
It's very good.
Now, in the respects to the questions raised by Honorable Semujju, well, it's not easy to say the price will be less by this, because the pump price is also determined by the international price. Today, a barrel could be at $80, then tomorrow it could be 90. It could be, so that one changes. So you cannot say the price will change by this. That would be a wrong assumption. Not
if it
really.
changes for you, if the guarantee is 500 shillings,
you see,
it means whether the international market has changed.
I don't know what business Semujju has ever done, but that's another matter. You see,
I am a beneficiary.
Because in businesses of this nature, first of all, there's an international price. That's one. Two, the price of the car. No,
Oscar.
When you do, I
see, Moses is trying to sound smart. Just tell me, at the current international price, this is what will happen.
Listen,
so you don't hide under that.
And between the two of you, you are focusing on a very small matter, and I'll tell you why it's a small matter. Mr. Tika here has already said that within the 40% there were middle people, and that is what Semujju is saying. Maybe that's where you can reduce. But you continue that one and then go to the one I asked you directly.
Off that one, but I wanted it to be clear for Semujju and others that the business Semujju has done, that maybe they didn't involve international actors. Here you are looking at the international price of fuel. That's one. Two, you have to look. You have to look at the price of $1. If $1 tomorrow is 3.8 or it goes 4,000.
Some of you have allowed Moses to be divergent. Those are not the topics I want to put to you.
No, but he raised them on
and we've answered him. So let's go to UNOC business.
Okay.
The price. If he has nothing to say about UNOC, why don't you allow him to say what he has?
The price is determined by other factors.
But UNOC is reducing the other factors. That's why he may be right in saying bring it down. The question is the issue of security. Will UNOC deliver the fuel here?
It will deliver the fuel. There's no doubt about that. Because Mr. Otika has told you that there are measures that if the deal is not able to take off, at least we continue with the old system until the new system takes off. So it will be a seamless transaction from one system to the other. In case
we have a long distrust of Ugandan business taking on big scales. Our next topic is UCC allowing telcos to cut off phones anytime they wish. So this is the problem. This is the problem we have with Ugandan companies.
I have no problem. We shall consider having fuel. Either way, either through old system or new system, we shall have fuel. So we
shall have fuel.
There shouldn't be a problem. On some of the issues you raised, Mr. Otika talked about them. There has been good bilateral communication between the two presidents, and we are sure some of the issues being raised will be handled at that level. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Ivan Rugamba, most welcome to Gang. Do you worry about how UNOC will operate? You know, fuel theft is also equally rampant from suppliers. I used to buy water, Honorable Semujju. And when you buy a water truck, 10,000, you might actually receive 8,000 liters. Because, you know, they siphon off as... Yes, and after they've given you 8,000, there's a balance that's given to someone else. There's that security as well. And UNOC is a baby company. How do they have a fleet? Do those things worry you? Of course, Mr. Otika can speak to them.
Companies will pick from Mombasa.
From Eldoret.
Okay.
Oscar, transitions of any kind are often they are often unpredictable, and that is why some of us have been hesitant to support some of those supported by the Semujjus and the ones that are not clear.
But Honorable Semujju, as we say in Uganda, everyone should speak slowly. I recently found out that my national ID expires. Who can you imagine? I didn't know.
You should have turned to the back immediately. You got it.
So at some point next year, I'm not going to be Ugandan.
So you can see that the problem sometimes is a function of ignorance. Sometimes,
no, it's a function of your companies.
On the card,
how do you have an expiry? Who's thinking was that?
We'll come now into that, but you have to update certain features of those systems.
In 3-4 years,
10 years.
But
it's 10 years. But
let's concentrate on
Yeah, it's 10 years.
Your time is coming.
Let's stay on the subject. So so transitions of energy cannot be that 100% predicted.
So in oil you support them, but in government you don't.
But what the UNOC is suggesting is a good thing. You see, but I want to agree with Semujju on one thing. You see, when the argument for this transition was being made, there was a clear argument that, look, when government of Kenya ditched the open tender system and went government to government, the cost per metric ton of the petroleum imports jumped from $35 to around $118, which is almost triple, and which caused the spike in some of the prices we are seeing on the market here. And so that was a good foundation argument for saying, look, this system has hiked the cost, and therefore we need to review it. So what Semujju is saying is that correspondingly then the argument should start with saying, now that we ditched this one, we expect, even if it is not a guarantee, because like Nafka was saying, it should be put into law, it cannot be put into law, that's a business expert. But at least you can say our estimate,
you can make a promise.
That our estimate is that after this system the price is going to decline to this and this level. The one argument that government has been making, and and all, is the returns in terms, I think, in terms of tax and revenue to UNOC as a company, or the revenue to government. So the consumer is not being given a clear incentive, and I think that is what UNOC and the other people should speak to. That while the argument for government has been noted, that government now will meet this middleman, and now government will go into the business and will take the cut that was going to the middleman. So, but what comes to the consumer? That is the argument that needs to be made. That's the first one. The second point. The second point is that for the primary, last weekend on the show, I say that the priority for such a strategic resource as petroleum products, or as fuel, the priority should be constant, reliable supply of the product, first and foremost. The second will be the cost. So for now, there have been grumbles about the price at the pump. But for a longest period, Uganda has not had a problem with supply. It's been a while. Yeah, it's never. There's not been a crisis. Yeah, it's been a while. I think the last time I think we had some sort of worry was 2007-2008 at the height of the Kenya post-election violence. So we have had at least reliable supply of fuel. So on the function of predictability and reliability, the Ugandan consumer has not been complaining. So UNOC has to get that act right, because the crisis of scarcity is much worse than the crisis of cost. Of cost. You see, the pump price jumped from about 3,000 to about 5,000 over the last 3 years. But Ugandans have taken that and they have absorbed the cost. But the function, the question of scarcity is not an option. Not an option for so that they must get right.
Thank you.
And so finally, then we will go to the final point I wanted to make is also the question of the legalese that are happening in Kenya. You see, one of the things I have learned following Kenyan politics, I think over the last 10 years, is that they have such an unpredictable legal environment that not even a strategic you remember last year the Uhuru government before it left had this building bridges initiative, which the transition was predicated upon, the transition from Uhuru to... So it was in the strategic interest of government in such a way that everything was hinged on that. But the government lost that last case. Government of Kenya has lost so many cases where it is of very strategic necessity to the government of Kenya itself. So the idea that they can guarantee government, they can guarantee government of Uganda's interest in Kenyan courts is not something you can take to the bank.
I think you're right. Uganda government has also lost many cases. Here as well.
But what I'm saying is,
even in budgets they put in monies for compensation and so on. But I'll just give you an example. I'm trying to find a recent example where they say the DPP has taken over this case.
But what I'm saying is that if government of Kenya can lose cases of such strategic importance to the government of the day, it is
Ivan, you've not listened to the government. When there are some cases they cannot lose.
Okay, we will. But of course, we wish. What we are saying is that these are things that UNOC needs to have plan B, plan C, so contingencies.
The fact your own microphone.
Oscar, I think he makes a valid point. We can't just take it for granted with Kenya, because unlike the Ugandan judiciary, which is really run by the executive, yes, the Kenyan judiciary actually has a certain level of independence. So you're not just going to get away with it.
You have to remind Nafi that she's a lawyer as well.
Like you're saying, this is in the strategic interest of the Kenyans, because it's now government to government, of the Kenyan government. But remember also, Kenya is losing tax revenue from these middlemen. They are some of the biggest taxpayers in Kenya.
Well, they've gotten them to get licenses, which seems illegal, but the Attorney General is right in saying first get them and then fight them later.
Exactly. So
maybe this is about lost
Ivan
income.
for once makes a very valid point. We can't just take that for granted. He's in NRM, they usually don't, but we move.
Nafi, let me also put to you, Ivan has a bit of Moses blood. So you take a non-issue and now you're validating it and you give it a lot of airtime. The bigger issue is, will UNOC manage? Are they up to it? That's what you need to address.
Oscar, we've been at this for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
You understand? Tell me, what has ever worked? What government initiative has ever worked in this government? One like this. Is it NADS, Bonabagagawale? Is it what? They don't. We wouldn't be the poorest.
Ivan is going to tell you NIRA.
NIRA, what a mess NIRA is every day. So
I think
what I'm saying is the government of the day, it's a brilliant idea on paper that we get a company, our very own UNOC, to be the supply of fuel, the middleman, so to speak, and the prices go down. But Oscar, it's like telling us that everybody bring your child to Taiba, and then the prices of school fees will go down.
And then telling you, leave schools alone. In these discussions, leave schools alone.
And then we get there, in the third year, you hike the fees and say, oh, the food prices are higher. And then at that point, because now every school is Taiba, we no longer have any comparatives. Because if now 3 years down the road, UNOC takes over as the middleman, the only middleman. What comparatives are we going to have to show that their prices are lower? This is hoodwinking us. This is Bioya Bianswa. We are being promised Bioya Bianswa. You understand? No. You would inform me. Let me first make my point. So it is egregious of anybody to come and sit here and tell us, I am here, I am taking over, I'll become a monopoly, and then the prices will be better. No monopoly has ever made prices better, because that is the purpose of a monopoly. And this is not how monopolies work. We live in a capitalistic world at the end of the day. This is capitalism. So if UNOC and Vitol are holding us by the balls, what are the chances that they are going to...
This is a morning show. Please.
Sorry. Are holding us hostage by being a monopoly in this case. Trust me, 3-4 years down the road, they'll tell us there's Ukraine, there's COVID, there's a new one. And then at that point, they'll hike the prices. At some point, it will be at 10,000. But who is comparing?
Okay.
With who anyway? So for them to sit here and promise us that is what we are getting from this as Ugandans, remove that and then start giving us other reasons for this. Because at the end of the day, you're messing up a huge part of the business community here. And I'm no supporter of the oil sector, because at the end of the day, these are people who over the years have been so unkind to Ugandans. We sit here and beg, why are the prices still high? Or it's COVID. Why are the prices still high? COVID has ended. Or it's the Ukraine, then international money, the currencies, then Kenya, then Turkey. There is always an excuse, and not once, not even once has Moses and his ilk ever come out to protect us. And yet here they come to save us. Beware of people who come like that, because they never come with good intentions. This has personal gain written all over it. Same group of people always wanting to make money at the cost of Ugandans. They come and couch this as a way of helping Ugandans. But in the end, a few people benefit and all of us are crying. And at that point, we even have a law that has bound us to this madness. And we can't easily just exit.
Thank you. So, Mr. Otika, NAFCA has gotten it all out. Your response, what is your take? You're having last word on this.
Okay, thank you very much, Oscar, and colleagues here. I hear you, and let me start by first mentioning that in this business, the parties that interface with the market are the oil marketing companies, right? UNOC has had several engagements with the oil marketing companies. The first one was on 6th of December 2019. I remember very well. And recently, we've had engagements with them again on 26th of November, 30th of November, and 2nd. And they explained to us the challenges they are facing. For your information, by the way, because we started this trade, our concept trial in March, we have been buying product from Kenya and selling to the oil marketing companies in Uganda, as UNOC. From March of 2020.
Are your prices lower?
We have sold close above 30 million liters to the leading oil marketing companies in Uganda. And Oscar, for me, what gives me so much...
you have trials. You've completed trials.
What gives me so much conviction on this is that we have sold to one of the most priced sensitive entities in Uganda as an oil marketing companies. They have been able to sell to other smaller oil marketing companies, and they have remained competitive in the market. So for us to achieve that since 2020 to date, even today we are selling to them, has been testament that our business case makes sense. They requested only 3 things from us, provided you can guarantee the oil marketing companies. Guarantee us 3 things. 1, that your price will be competitive. And when we say competitive, in relation to any other product imports within the region. In our case, our comparison is going to be with whatever is bought for the Kenyan market, right? Secondly, guarantee us supply reliability. I hear you when you say we've not had supply challenges. Indeed, product has come in. But I want to say on that point, 3 things drive the price of product. 3 fundamental things. 1 is the international market price, because at the end of the day, from wherever the product is coming from, and all this by they are published. So the international market price at which the product is bought contributes around 80% of the cost. 80%. That's the first thing. Second thing which drives the prices is supply and demand, because it does not matter at what price you bought. The moment someone realizes that there's going to be scarcity, of course they will hold on to their product because they're not sure at what price the new product will come in. They have to increase the price. Yeah. The third thing is the forex rate, because I'll tell you, for example, in September, if I remember very well, exchange rate was around 3730. Today,
slower.
No, it was high. It was high. It went up to 3820. So you find that difference, yeah, in exchange rate, and also the difference in the international prices have a significant bearing on the product, on the price at which you get the product here. The third thing they asked us is and Semujju, just allow me. The third thing they asked us, guarantee us quality. Now, because of that, analyze its existing supply partners. We had 6, of which Vitol was one of them, and we said, you know what, this new mandate which has been given to us by the government, and for your information, we signed a supply agreement with Vitol on 22nd of December 2020. That's when we signed the first agreement. The first transaction with Vitol was in January. But back to this point, so when you have price competitiveness, you have supply reliability and quality of product, the oil marketing companies are happy to sign on. But also, don't forget, the oil marketing companies in Uganda who have invested heavily. You see all these beautiful petrol stations here. And the challenge I mentioned of them having to buy from third parties within the supply chain
and poor quality
has
oil
cost them, is making it difficult for them to recoup their investment. What UNOC is going to do is, by taking out those intermediaries, is to guarantee the oil marketing companies in Uganda the price you're getting is referenced with the international prices. But secondly, we are not going to be increasing our margin because of supply and
because
demand
they're a government entity. The 3 things you've said, we're going to commit them to you.
Those 3 things we have committed
availability, price, and good quality. That's what I take. So for you, final word, what do you take from this program?
And Oscar, just one minute. We have contractualized reliability and price competitiveness with our contract with Vitol. How? At any one time, and the beauty about this is that because it's in law, we are held accountable. At any one time, our product landed in Mombasa must be cheaper than what is brought for the Kenyan counterpart. So in terms of who am I going to reference, we have contractualized that. That's one thing. In terms of supply reliability, we have contractualized to make sure that the Ginger storage terminal is filled up with stocks, and also stocks are held up to 50 yeah, I'm coming to that.
No, we have run out of time.
Yeah, that's good.
Don't listen to him.
Up to 50 million liters is going to be held in Dar es Salaam, destined for UNOC to supply to oil marketing companies, and in the long term construct the Kampala storage terminal. Those should give supply reliability, and we believe that with that we'll normalize supplies so that there are no hikes in prices within the supply chain to affect the Ugandan. I want to assure all Ugandans that this bill has been passed with 5 principles. 1, mandate UNOC to be the importer. 2, authorize the minister at any one time, should have any challenges, which we'll see within the supply visibility, to nominate someone else to ensure supply continuity. 3, improve security of supply of product, and we're held accountable with this. 4, contribute to the reduction of prices in the market, and that's the commitment we are giving Ugandans. It has been
finally. Where can we read this from? On your website?
Now this is what is in the bill that has been passed.
To get those to get those things, where if I want to read about them, they're on your website. Website.
Of course, anything to do
the
with
5 things
is normal with the ministry, because it's a Ministry of Energy that's responsible for policy and regulation, but also
You have www.unoc.co.ug.
Yes, now that it has been assented to, of course, it will be uploaded on our website so that Ugandans can read them and hold us accountable to them.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rashid Otika, for your appearance on Gang. Discussion will continue, of course.
The Capital Gang on 91.3.
Welcome back from the break. We've discussed UNOC and UNOC operations in Uganda. We hope that they'll manage, and you could hear the skepticism or in Namfi's voice and comments. We have another guest. We have another guest in the studio. She's Rebecca Mokite. Rebecca is the head of Public and International Relations at the UCC Uganda Communications Commission. Public relations, yes. International relations, what does that mean? And welcome to the Capital Gang. I guess we're having you for the first time here.
Yes, you are. Good morning, Oscar. Good morning, our listeners. Good morning, Namfi and Honorable Semujju.
And Mr. Moses Biaruhanga, Mr. Ivan Rugamba.
Okay. You asked about international relations. Well,
at UCC.
Regulating the communications sector requires us to align our service provision to international standards, because, as you're aware, communication goes beyond the geographical boundaries of Uganda, and that standardization process requires us to plug into
international standards.
Yeah.
There's also the issue that the biggest telecoms in Uganda are foreign as well. So I thought you were going to mention that.
No, that is not the context of international relations. This international relations is by the Communications Act of 2013. It has a section, I think one of the provisions is for us to represent the government in international ICT fora, because a lot of some of the standards related to communications are created in a treaty environment. Yeah.
So you have
international
relations with MTN in South Africa and
no.
Airtel in India?
No,
not at all.
That's not the context of international relations.
Mine was now a different question. So you have no relations with South Africa regarding MTN or India regarding Airtel? You just deal with them here?
Yes, we serve Ugandans.
Okay, now the reason I invited UCC is on the issue of switching off lines of people. 2 weeks ago, one of our listeners, Tony Kent, as they said, there's a burning issue you need to bring to Gang, and I did not think it was very burning until my line was cut off. And my line has a lot of money on it. I have, Moses doesn't believe me that I can have 500,000. And he doesn't believe that is a lot of money on my line. About 100,000. Pardon? 500 Uganda shillings. This MTN, they have Uganda shillings. Airtime is there. Data is there, and my data is, I think, time. What do you call it? Time. The ones you say monthly and so on.
Okay.
And now they've switched it off. And when I switched it off, I entered the business and I found out a lot of people's lines are switched off.
I need to give you a bit of context before we come to the point of switching off, which happened on 12th November. The regulation, the Riker Act.
Mine wasn't switched off 12th November. It was switched off last week.
Okay. Because there is a cleanup process that is ongoing. I need to take a few steps back to create the context of where this has come from. I'm sure our listeners are aware that communication services, I think, came to Uganda in 1998. That is mobile communication services. And up until 2010, there was no requirement to have an identity behind the numbers. Remember, the numbers are issued through SIM cards, and that is how you access communication services, SIM cards of the telecom providers. Now, in 2010, the Riker, it's the Regulation of Interception of Communications Act of 2010, I'll call it Riker Act of 2010, obliged telecom providers to register all their subscribers to have a KYC. At that time, we did not have, that was in 2010, there was no national identity card. So, one, this process came in after people had already subscribed to the services. Two, it came in at a time where we did not have that national ID. And they were using all forms of IDs, including passports, work IDs, village IDs, any form of identification at the time. Come 2018, then the national ID came in. When the national ID came in, the act that brought in the national ID then required, it was 2015, oh, thank you, required that, okay, required that that was the official identification that was going to be used for, including telecommunication services. So that's the process, that's the background as to why there has been different iterations to this process. First it wasn't there, then it came in without the national ID, then the national ID came in. Now, that same act, Section 9 of that act, has specific provisions that point to the requirement for a regulation. In May 2023, this year, the Ministry of Security issued the RICA regulations of 2023. Now, one of the provisions of those regulations was that the telecom providers had to go back and clean up their databases to ensure that all subscribers had a national ID and biometrics. In between that regulation and the onset of the national ID, I forgot to include the fact that even the biometrics came in retrospectively. So it's a process that has been, should I call it continuous improvement, to clean up the database, but it's all aimed at creating an identity behind the numbers, which for all intents and purposes is well intended for all stakeholders who are involved.
I like the bit where you say well intended. But Namfi, you take the lead on this one. In the last cut-off, I think it must have been about 2017, 2018, we sat here and I told Semujju that we have a bullying government. They just, and at that time Semujju supported